Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to do an update on our urban worm bag that has the European Nightcrawlers in it. So it's been 37 days since my last update, which is a little longer than I try to go. I usually try to hit that 30 days at that max, but a little bit longer this time. And we're going to go ahead and check this out, and we are going to add a ton of food. We're going to add 8 pounds of food. This is more than I think I've put in this system typically, but only really by a couple pounds. And I have put 8 pounds in my Vermibag Max, I think, last time. So we're going to see how this system does with it. I think some of the stuff is not quite as broken up since I'm going to be adding some full pieces of celery that I can maybe break apart with my hands. But, we're going to see how this goes, and hopefully these worms will just chew through it as they have with everything else. So with that, let's take a look at this system and see how it's doing. All right, here we are with our urban worm bag. Let's go ahead and open this up. Spider right over there. See how this is doing inside. First thing first, no moisture on the top here. I'm not seeing any fruit flies escaping either, which is always a great sign. So those, it looks like, are completely gone from this system. Moisture on the top here, you can see that this is a little damp, but not too damp. This right here, it looks pretty good as far as how things look in there. Maybe it's not really that crowded as far as fruit flies, which is great. So I'm going to put that off to the side. A couple worms underneath there. System looks good. I can see a banana peel already poking up here a little bit. So we got a little bit of banana left over from last time. But let's go ahead and start with this side over here. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. There we go. Let's start with this side over here. See how we're doing. We're just going to take away this top layer. Just kind of brush it back here. Oh, that's right. We did add pine shavings last time. Got some coffee grounds right here. It looks like the worms are starting to work at that. Well, we got some pine shavings right here working into that bedding material. It looks like there's quite a bit of bedding now built up in this system that isn't composted compared to before, which is fine. Just means that we might want to slow down on how much bedding we're adding after today. Give it a chance to work through it. But you can just see the worms in here. And this is another thing of coffee grounds. It looks like they're really going at this stuff and doing a great job of breaking down all the food and everything. This feels quite sticky right here. You can see there's more worms in there. So I've got the camera a little far away right now, so I've got to bring them up. But they're doing a great job on this material. It does seem maybe a tad dry on the dry side. I mean, there's some moisture in here, but it's, some of these areas are moist. Some of them feel a little bit dry. So overall, no food there really. Let's just keep going along this top section here. Come to the front side, or my side, or I guess the top side maybe for you. And you can see they're working through the paper still, but nice healthy worm activity through all layers here. You can just see they're all through here. They're really working at this material. The food looks like it's all gone, or mostly gone. And here we go. This is a grape stem, and you can see they're all over this, surprisingly. I didn't think that this would be something that they'd really work on. I thought it would sort of actually come out on the other side, but they're starting to, like, it feels soft, the grape stem in some areas, and it feels brittle. So they're working on that too. But they're just doing a great job. Oh, here's a corn on the cob. Nice big worms on that as well. Very, very soft material now, this corn cob. I'm afraid to squeeze it. There might be worms inside. Let's just dig down here a little bit lower. And you can see there's worms even way down here. But look at that material. It looks fantastic. Not quite ready to harvest, but it's really broken down. There's still some more. There was worms in there, obviously, but also there's still some more like fibrous materials. Like you got this banana stem right here when you get further down. So you get some material like that still in there, but they're still working through this stuff very, very well. It might be close time to do a harvest and maybe pull some stuff from the bottom and let this kind of fall down again. Let's go down to the other side here. Again, we've got some of our pine shavings here. And I do like adding a variety of bedding materials in general. I think, just like anything. Oh, look at this. Look at that. Those are coffee grounds right there. And there's essentially a worm ball formed around this. Or actually, it looked like coffee grounds. Those are castings. I think this is a lemon or something, or lime, or orange or something, because there's some citrus. But it looks like there's a whole bunch of pot worms on here as well. I don't know if you can see them in here. I don't know if that's in focus or not, but it looks like there's a bunch of pot worms, which is fine. They're composters. They're doing a good job, along with the European Nightcrawlers in here. But look at that. You can just see there's a whole ton of worms on there. I mean, like, just a bunch of them on there. all working really hard to break down this material. They're doing a great job. Let's just dig down a little further on this side as well. As you can see, we've got this really nice composted material. Still some cardboard in here. They're not quite moving through the cardboard quite as quickly. And this is where, if you really have a system, maybe every once in a while you want to throw in, if you really want to try to get the system where it's ready to harvest, maybe throw in some cocoa coir or something like that also. So here we go. Here's a big thing of pine shavings right here. Kind of matted down a little bit. Still a bunch of worms in there though. So they're doing a great job in here. This system's really humming along. So we add in a little bit of, here's one of our avocado pits. Surprisingly, there's one worm in there. It's a little bit moist. Let's use 2 avocado seeds. Actually, the worms are on the pit. That's what they were working out right there. They were on that pit, trying to dig in. Let's just see. Is that? No, it's not soft enough for me to push into. Nope. But it's a lot of moisture in there, so they're probably trying to go after that moisture. We'll separate that out right there. But again, pretty much all the food's made. The main food is gone. I thought there were some coffee grounds, but it might have been maybe a piece of an orange or something. Lots of bedding material though. We're gonna have to cut back on the bedding, I think, in here. I mean, look at this. You can see this is just all bedding material right here. I mean, this is some. I think maybe there's not enough moisture in this bedding material too. So, but in the feeding we're about to do, we're going to get a lot of moisture in here. We're going to add a lot of cardboard actually. But oh, here we go, some coffee grounds. But again, they work through almost the entire piece of paper around it. But the coffee grounds are a little bit dry. So I think this system is just a little bit too dry. I think that's one of the problems right now going forward. Everything feels a little bit dry in here. I mean, you can see my gloves are nice and clean, which is good, but also just nothing was really sticking to them at all. So there's no moisture really at all. So now we're still going to add our food and go through our normal process. We have, as I said, have a lot of food. First thing we're going to add here, hopefully the worms have had a chance to dig down. I see one right over there. Just kind of move some of these worms out of the way. If I see them here, give them a chance to get out of the way of this ice cold food, since this is always in the freezer. But our first thing here is celery. This celery, for some reason, it went bad really quickly. Normally it gets juiced well before it goes bad. But for some reason, this celery, I know it doesn't look bad here, but it was bad for some reason, really quickly. Which I've mentioned before, we've had some issues with that where some stuff is just going bad really quickly. But again, I can break this apart a little bit here. You know, the smaller you make these pieces, the quicker it's going to go. So if you crunch them up, it'd be faster if I had a second glove on. By the way, the other reason why, I know I've had a couple people ask why I wear gloves. I wear gloves to protect my hands, but also to protect my nails from cutting into stuff. I have really sharp nails. They can kind of dig through things. I've actually scratched up the leather in my car. So I'm really careful with my nails, and I keep them pretty short, but digging through here, I'm afraid I'm gonna scratch up the bag, or, you know, damage some worms taking in here. Actually, I mean, I could just see, you know, scraping something hard like a nail and damaging them, or hurting them. So that's where I just try to be a little bit aware of my surroundings sometimes. But also, my hands tend to dry out. No reason to get a whole bunch of dirt and mud on them with like little micro cuts on your hands. It's a good way to get sick. So, okay, I'm just breaking all this up right now. This is going to help this break down a lot faster. And the fact that it's frozen makes it really easy. I mean, I could have chopped it up before I brought it down, but it also, I think, smelled really bad from what I remember. So, didn't really want to do that. So, there we go. Alright, I think that's good. Break down a couple more pieces here. By the way, if you're looking to buy one of these systems, I do have a link to World of Compost that I showed down below, where you can find links to almost all the stuff that I use in these videos and purchase them. Or you can go right to the Amazon store as well in the description. So there we go. That's our first thing of food. And you know this is a big feeding, so all right, I'm going to break this one apart here. All right, there we go. All right. Stuck to the top there. Just make sure I get everything out of here. There we go. All right, so we've got, that's just a coffee filter. We've got apple, more apple cores, apple pieces, apple that went bad, more apples, lots of apples in this one. I guess we had an apple kick at this point. Another coffee filter here, more apple. Let's see if I can get this apart. There we go. We got some banana peels. We've got some coffee grounds, some tea grounds. Actually, I missed there were some tea grounds over here as well. So again, a nice big feeding. We still have another container to put in here. More banana peels. And again, it's really good if you just break this stuff apart. Everything goes a lot faster the more you cut it up or break it down. In this system, that's why I was trying to build, and I still haven't used it in a while, my 3D printed shredder that I have. I still do have it, but I've been meaning to print out an extra print for it. We got some broccoli over here. Extra print to kind of slow it down a little bit. I'm using my drill. Alright, I can't get these last two apart, so we'll just leave them over here like that. Alright, and one last container. This one's a little bit lighter than the others. Just kind of smash it around a little bit, loosen everything up. And this one is primarily spinach and carrot, I think. So yep, primarily spinach. Not much moisture in spinach, so. And we've got these carrot peels. Again, these are probably pretty dry. And these break down nice and quick because you can see you just push them all apart. And for those of you curious, I buy the big carrots instead of the mini carrots because I like the taste of them better. I just feel for some reason that when I have to peel them myself, they just taste better. So, none of the mini carrots for me. I always like the big ones. All right. That's a whole bunch of stuff in there. And it looks like it's covered up on top now by this carrot and spinach. I'm going to put my mask on because we're going to add some crushed crab and eggshell. I'm just trying to get my mask on straight here. There we go. And now we're going to go ahead and add a bunch of this crushed crab and eggshell. This is going to help give the worm some grit to dig into. We don't need a whole lot of this, but I've been adding more and more as I want to, when I add this to my soil, I like having the eggshell in there. Add some calcium and everything. And the last part to this is, of course, our paper. And there's a lot of moisture. I dumped in a little extra water into the container this time by accident. So there's a lot of moisture in here that we're going to get out with this this time, I think. So this is pre-soaked paper. And I think you can hear it's probably a little bit more wet than normal. Normally I just kind of get it a little bit wet. This time it's really, really wet. Which is why I'm also not flipping it upside down. I don't want the water to just run out of here all in one fell swoop. I'm trying to get the cardboard to go through it first and then put it in. Now, as I said, after this we might have to cut back on some of the bedding in here because it's really building up a lot of bedding. I might have to try to reuse the bedding, maybe dig in and add some more food and then just leave the same bedding in here because it really does feel like it's getting a little bit thick. All right, here. Almost done. All that's covered just so you can see how much water's left in here, but I am going to just pour this in because I do feel that this is a little bit low on moisture. And I think that's why the bedding is taking longer to break down. I do think that the pine shavings I know take longer, but I wonder if part of it is also the fact that the bedding was just a little bit too dry, whereas normally they kind of really come up and really dig through that bedding. They didn't this last time. Now, let me just some paper on the lid here. There we go. So that's our update for this system. It's looking really well. Worms are doing a good job. Maybe a little bit too much bedding in here. We might have to start emptying out. By the way, actually, let me just back you up here a little bit. I'm adding my little container back to this corner here. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure here just to make sure that it stays in that corner, it doesn't fall over. And that's it for our update. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments or things you want to talk about, leave a note down below and let me know, and I'll try to get back to you. Thank you for watching.